result, it does take quite a long time to make change, even with the best will in the world.
Don't take risks on treacherous roads.
Right.
People was reacting.
A scandal.
Hello.
And welcome to FabooTv.
Together, we searched far and wide, looking for little earthlings that embodied Faboo.
We went to Birmingham to visit Waj, a visual artist.
Yes. And we decided to show you how to be couture.
With cardboard.
It's called alchemy, dears. You are Faboo. Get ready for a journey like no other. FabooTv.
Media coming to corrupt you.
Hello and welcome to FabooTv with your host Lagoon, and today I am so excited. I mean, we just have the guest of all guests, to be honest, a fashion icon, a poet, a writer, singer-songwriter. I mean, honestly, fashion icon, East London bad girl. We have the incredible Max Allen. Welcome to the bed. Thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
So I have to say a quick disclaimer. First and foremost, Max is going to be performing later on in the show. So with that, Max, for everybody at home, tell them a little bit about yourself.
I like to say that I'm a post-drag pop artist.
Love.
I work predominantly in fashion. I use that as a dialogue and a way to make money nowadays. But I've worked in drag, I've worked in bars, and I like to experiment with a bit of writing nowadays.
So, Max, I want to get your thoughts on the Faboo Pasta Frame Wall of Fame. We've got a couple of icons here. I'm personally living for Tracy Beaker first time in drag moment. This is really cute. And Shirley Bassey doesn't pay her taxes. You brought a couple of icons with you as well.
I have.
I want to talk about Polystyrene. Why did you bring her down?
Polystyrene is one of my favourite punk female acts. X-Ray Specs' music is amazing, but her as an artist, what she wrote about, which is about like sort of elements of pop culture around her in very like scientifical ways, but it came out romantically.
I noticed here there's a gorgeous, is that a brass of Victoria Wood?
Victoria Wood is amazing. Like, I've grown up around that comedy in the 90s, and I've always been fascinated by her and loved her, but I've started to pay a lot more attention to exactly how she writes. And similarly to Polystyrene, people always say about like Victoria Wood, she would never just say like a biscuit, she would say Garibaldi or you know, something that is like very much about popular culture, but getting it quite right, getting what is rhyme.
So, unfortunately, I get the feeling that Victoria Wood passed before she could become a client of yours.
Yes.
So, I wanted to know, who out of your living clients have you enjoyed making some work for? Because you've made incredible clothes for so many fantastic people.
I mean, big names, sort of pop stars. Shy Girl is fantastic. I love working with her. I mean, She's exactly like the kind of electro-esque musician I love. Who else have I made? I mean, I made for like a bunch. I've been for like Beyonce, I made for Gaga. Who else?
What did you do for
Rihanna,
Gaga?
I've done.
You've also made incredible work for FK Twigs.
So I made like a bit of gloves, and she's also worn stuff of mine in shoots. My favourite clients are really like the club kids around, like the weirdos and the freaks. I want to see my girls wearing it.
Like a dress for Kevin Legrand to officiate a wedding in, which says divorce down the front.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And her to do every other gig in her life in it.
So you make clothes, that's one of the ways you express yourself, and I suppose people kind of see you as part of the London fashion scene. Whether you reject that or not is a different story, but can queerness in an authentic form exist alongside luxury fashion?
I think fashion and queerness is not compatible in the sense of the fashion industry. I think, the fashion industry was created for wealthy people. I think queerness and luxury can. I think we need to change the concept of luxury massively. And I think that's the issue with a lot of what we could say are queer designers. When you are selling a dress for £700 to £2,000 in Selfridges, and it's not on a queer or trans or however a body, is that really queer fashion? Is it just a dress?
I'm interested to get your breakdown of what luxury is now and what luxury could be. So is like luxury sort of like, is that like an Aesop candle? Or
I keep talking about at the moment like luxury and poverty.
Okay.
And of course I'm talking about relative poverty, but I am genuinely have been most of my life a poor person and still am. I found built my way around finding what my luxury means. Eating a pizza and watching a box set all day is really fucking luxurious.
Well, it's funny that you should say that, because am I right in thinking that we might have something to eat in the studio? Let's have a nosh. Oh, let me just grab that from you, dear. Thank you so much. What have we got in the box?
Oh, my favourite. Oh, I love Italian culture.
The rats have had at it before we got to it.
My favourite. I love Italian food.
Shall we? Can we just? Do you want to do it like that? Let's go. Oh, that's great.
Are you vegan?
Was
It's my favourite. Scabby pizza from underneath the bed.
delicious.
It's why I have a really high immune system.
Because you're just ingesting filth. over the
Ingesting
years.
filth.
So, I want to break down the Max Allen look.
I think it's something that really naturally happened. And I think this comes from how I create. I want to create realistically from what I can afford. A lot of the times I prefer to work for people that have a budget from 20 quid to 200 quid, which may seem like a lot still, but like that means that I'm making from fabric that I have found or something recycled, and I'm making it myself. So it's, even though I have skill, there's there's certain ways to like embellish something in a cheaper and a more affordable way, but it's still luxurious. It's still taken me time, and it's taken me skill.
We've been chatting away, so I think it might be time to wet the palate somewhat. I think it's time for a cocktail. Cocktails brought to us by Donya, 92 Stoke Newington Road, London. So how's your drink, love?
Oh, it's delish, darling.
Let me have a smell. I am an alcoholic, so I can't actually drink it because I'll end up burning the studio down. I wanted to know, for someone, especially someone who lives outside of London, who kind of wants to get into the London fashion scene, what advice would you give to someone watching at home who wants to get involved?
I think be aware that fashion doesn't really exist and hasn't really ever existed for a long time. I think, fashion's always only been for really, really rich people. I think in the late 90s, early millennium, it was a bit more democratic. We saw fashion magazines where Kate Moss was wearing some jeans and like a customized top or maybe a bit of Judy Blame necklace that obviously we can't emulate, but we could have done. But, it's now gone back to what fashion always was, which was very rich clothes, and it is just advertising for perfume or makeup. So I think to be realistic on that, for me, it's the main thing is to really involve yourself in going out. Even if you're not a party person, find hedonism. And I don't mean hedonism by just getting wasted. You've got to find what you enjoy, and it shows. If you're not a fun person, it shows in your work massively as an artist.
Max, thank you so much for chatting to me in the Faboo bed. I've had such a fabulous time.
Fab, I've had the best time too.
And you need to go get ready because you're going to be performing for us a little bit later in the show.
I do, warm my vocal cord, drink some honey and lemon.
We'll just polish that off. I'm sure that'll be fine. The alcohol in that will just burn anything and all the lesions off in the back.
Just so climb the corporate ladder in this fabulous paper dress. Be the envy of every boardroom with this concertina shirt and tie and matching briefcase. Turn every head with this corporate couture creation. Accentuate your assets. Win the fight. Be on top of the game. This dress smells like money. Why, I hear you ask? Well, because it's made of paper, of course.
It lives in my chest, keeps me awake at night.
Gorgeous.
I'm a reflection, void of passion. I'm more concerned.
Stunning.
You told me once, it's gonna get.
Run out of business cards? Just tear a piece off your trouser leg. You're sure to be remembered.
I stand in the moonlight.
Balance the books.
Heaven and earth and
Beautiful. See you next time on the reduced section.
Take a moment to ask yourself, are you enjoying Faboo? What actually is Faboo? Where is Faboo? Who is Faboo? Are you, perhaps, Faboo? Well, keep watching and we might just tell you.
The Faboo Mega Magical Mystery Tour.
Faboo needs you. The Faboo Megavan scours the planet searching for those humans that give a touch of Faboo to the landscapes of their birth towns. First stop, Birmingham. A city whose nightlife has a rich history with an archive of club names such as Barbarellas, Sloopies, The Rum Runner, Snobs, Wobble because the dance floor wobbled, and Slag, an acronym for straights, lesbian and gays all welcome. Birmingham has birthed some of the most influential of nighttime movements, the New Romantic, to name just one. The epicentre of this scene was Khan and Bell, a clothes shop run by Jane Khan and Patty Bell, whose first job at 14 was a mermaid in a tank at her local fair. Together, the two friends were responsible for engineering the New Romantic look. Their elaborate and theatrical style brought together a wide range of influences, including Egyptian, African and Far Eastern art, combined with elements of futurism and fantasy. Always a step ahead of the fashion game as contemporaries of Vivienne Westwood, these visionaries' ethos was fashion for all sexes. Twiggy was one of their friends, a Birmingham icon whose fearless style graced many Birmingham dance floors, along with Boy George, who would pop down on the train from London. Who would have thought culture happens outside the M25? Carn and Bell was situated in Her Street, which has been the focus of gay nightlife since the early 70s. And today Her Street is home to the Nightingale, the longest running gay venue in Birmingham's history at 50 years old. The Nightingale began as a members club to hold community, which was very much needed at that time. Now, over half a century old, and the Nightingale is one of Birmingham's most famous queer venues. Today, Birmingham's art community hosts some fabulous events such as Fierce Festival, Shout Festival, and of course Birmingham Pride, which was founded in 1972. We met Wadge, an artist that is added to the genealogy of Birmingham's nightlife.
I dress to express the intersections of my identity. I like to wear my dorpi that my grandma crocheted for me, which represents my Pakistani culture and connection to Islam. I'm inspired by rave culture, classic rave fashion, the background characters in a party scene of a Greg Araki teen film, Grace Jones, MIA, and Jean-Paul Gaultier. I used to study chemical engineering, but dropped out, and now I'm studying liberal arts at the University of Birmingham. As a visual artist, I was making films, making images, but went back to school because I'm interested in what it means to be an artist in the Western world. I think the term artist is whitewashed, and decolonization is becoming a more important and prominent part of my life and how I understand the world. I run a club night here with some friends. Club Bandit is a queer DIY party for experimental club music where everyone's welcome as long as you can throw a look. What I love about the Midlands is that Birmingham is a city that people overlook, which means that the underground scene in Birmingham is thriving. There's loads of young people here that want to get stuff done, and you can get to any other big city really easily. The future for Club Bandit is putting on more nights, creating a space for young queer, people of colour and black people in the Midlands. More parties, more fun, more life.
Success doesn't have to change your personality. That's greed.
Faboo. You are listening to
Faboo Radio.
Exclusive hot new mix.
All this culture, all this time, all this liberation. All this culture, all this time, all this liberation. A witty caption to a low resolution image. You always stood just outside the gallery, somewhere between Peckham and Neukölln. Soy una cantante, quieres bailar. All this culture, all this time, all this liberation. All this culture, all this time, all this liberation. All this liberation. A loose mass of gay men vibrating around, wearing almost identical pairs of Oakley sunglasses. Sat in a wet bit of mud you call a beach. Mediterranean thighs, healthy, thick thighs with one tattoo you picked off a flash sheet. Hiding your swollen emotions in your leopard print Speedos. That last bottle of rosé bought from the corner shop that sent you over the edge, all sunburned and aggressive. I found a gun in the river last year. I found a gun in the river last year. I can't wait for September to begin. I can't wait for the rain to fall, to saturate those powder blue trainers. I want to step on your blue suede shoes. I'm gonna step on your blue suede shoes. Soy una cantante, quieres bailar. All this culture, all this time, all this liberation. All this culture, all this time, all this liberation.
This has been FabooTv. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time.
Where's this glitter coming from? Exhibitionist, you